I don't know about you, but when I first started out as an actor, I felt scared to ask a lot of questions because it felt very clear to me that I was expected to know the answers. And so I honestly would just try and figure it out myself, or every time I did ask a question, I would feel embarrassed or scared that my agent would get mad at me, or that I would be outed as a newbie who can't be taken seriously. And a lot of that has to do with auditioning. There's still things I'm learning, honestly, but there is a lot that I have learned that I wanted to just illuminate for anyone who's watching this video. So here is an auditioning 101, cheat sheet for someone who's just starting out as an actor.
I'm Jamila, and I'm literally just a girl doing all the things in Toronto. I'm into fashion, beauty, lifestyle. When you want to find the best places to eat, fun stuff to do, or cafes to work from, you come to my page. To learn about how to get started as an actor, from auditioning to how you get paid, or how to write your first screenplay, I'm the one to watch. And to learn all things copywriting, content, and social media marketing, I'm your girl. On this channel, you'll learn a lot, and together, we'll do a lot. This is The Hyphenate.
First thing first, your background. You ideally want to get something gray or blue, and I set mine up here. It's literally just nailed to the top of my wall, and I can just roll it down easily. Apparently, gray is better for dark undertones, so if you're black, brown, whatever, I guess gray is best, and I just got this from Amazon. It's pretty short, so it doesn't come all the way to the floor. Ideally, you want something to come all the way to the floor, because when you want to do like full body shots, you don't want to have any demarcation. You want to keep the illusion of your background because you don't want anything distracting. So if you can find something that goes like wall to wall and ceiling to floor, that's ideal. Next is lighting. I just use this ring light. It's a newer, I think is how you pronounce it, newer ring light that I got from Amazon. And it goes like super bright and super dim, so I can get the lighting that I need, and it's nighttime right now and I can still shoot this audition without it looking too dark, so this works for me. And I use a DJI Osmo Pocket 3, but I used my phone when I first started out, and that's totally fine. You can use your phone when you're first starting out. You can use any camera that you have. The point is you want to have landscape. You want to make sure that there's enough space between your head, and ideally you want to do like waist up. Anything lower, honestly, unless the people in the breakdown ask for it, you don't need to do it. Waist up is fine, and make sure that there's enough space for your head. And if you're moving around, you don't want any space to get cut off up like on top of your head, so make sure that there's enough space but not too much. You don't want it to be like a huge amount of space above your head. Slates. So with slates, apparently, unbeknownst to me, you should always have the same one. So if you can record a slate that you just use all the time with whatever hairstyle is your normal, that's ideal. And usually they'll ask for your first name, last name, and both sides of your hands, but sometimes they'll also ask for your height. Sometimes they'll ask for your agent, where you're located, and sometimes your age. And then they'll ask little things maybe based on the actual campaign, like if you have any allergies, or if you have a dog, or what is your fitness routine. It depends on what the spot is. So sometimes you might actually have to film a slate specifically for that. And sometimes they will want stills. And again, that is dependent on the spot, but they might ask for a close-up of your face, full body shot, maybe the front, the back, your profile, it depends. So you have to be able to shoot a new slate and stills that day. So whatever you normally have for your hairstyle, make sure it's consistent with your headshot, because if you have a headshot with braids, but then you have curly hair, they're not going to want to book you because they saw the headshot and that's what first attracted them. So I actually have different headshots for my different hairstyles because I'm a black woman. I change my hair a lot, and I can't just stick to one style because it's actually better for me to switch things up for my hair's health. So I have headshots with braids, I have headshots with my curly natural hair, and I'm about to get headshots actually with a weave because I want to, start wearing wigs more often, and like, big bouncy beautiful curls. So I need to be able to have headshots so when I audition with that hair, it matches the headshot, because if they want to see that and book me with that hair, I need to be able to match it up. So now I'm about to do an audition, and this is due tomorrow. Usually you'll get auditions like a day or two before, but sometimes it's a rush. And so with this, I got this yesterday, but I was busy yesterday. Luckily it's due tomorrow at noon, so I can do this tonight. And you are always expected to hand in your audition on time or early. Ideally you want to do it a day or two before so that it's the first thing that the casting agents see. But for sure, it needs to be given before the deadline. So when you get an audition, you're actually getting a breakdown. And either if you're represented, your agent will send it to you, or you'll find it yourself if you're just like on different Facebook groups. But what that breakdown will tell you is who the casting director is, and it'll tell you where the callbacks will be and when those callbacks will be. If you're booked, it'll tell you what the wardrobe dates are. So when you're gonna be called in to come try on the clothes for the actual spot, it'll tell you what the shoot dates are. If there's multiple, it'll tell you where it is, because sometimes it'll be in different locations, and so there might be travel dates. They will tell you that as well. It tells you the buyout fee. So if your likeness is used in the final edit, they'll tell you how much you'll get. You know, it'll tell you what the term is. So if it's like a year or 2 years, and if they extend it, they'll tell you how much you'll get if they extend the spot. So maybe you'll get, you know, the buyout fee plus 10%, or maybe you'll just get the buyout fee, or maybe you'll just get $1,000. They'll tell you that. They'll tell you how much you'll get for the wardrobe fitting. It's usually $75 for 2 hours. If it goes over 2 hours, they'll usually give you overtime for like $37.50 per hour. And then for the actual shoot, it's usually 10 hours for the shoot. And if it goes over time, they'll give you extra for that as well. There's OCP, which is like the main character, and then they have, you know, secondaries who are the secondary characters, and then they'll have extras. And so depending on who you're playing, you will get a certain buyout fee. So sometimes I'll make, you know, $4,000 as an OCP. The most I've made is actually $7,000 from a mental health ad, which is amazing. But the least I've made is $400 actually, and I was just the secondary, but it was a bunch of secondaries in one spot, and it was just like a very short run of a spot, so we didn't really make that much money. So it really depends. But you'll learn how much you'll make from that. And sometimes it depends on like where it's being broadcast and what the medium is. So for example, you might make more money if it's digital and print versus just broadcast or just social or whatever, what have you. So you also have to look into that, because one time I did a shoot and it was photos, and if they had used the photos for print, I would have made $6,000 more, but they ended up just using it for digital, so I only made $3,500, which sucked because I could have made $10,000. It's gutting, unfortunately, but you never know what the client's gonna use it for. And in terms of money, I also wanted to bring up when you're actually gonna get paid. So in Canada, I don't know where you're located, but in Canada, there's non-union, and then there's union, which is represented by ACTRA. That is the actors union. So I'm non-union, which means that even though I have an agent, I don't have as many protections as an ACTRA actor. So the client has up to 90 days to pay me after the spot goes live. But I don't have any say in like getting to know when they will make the spot go live. So for example, if I shot a commercial in January, they don't have to tell me when they're going to launch it. They may never launch it, but I will for sure get the session fee. I should have mentioned that before. You will also get a session fee, which is what you get paid for the day of the shoot, the 10-hour shoot. That is a given, but they might not use your likeness in the final edit. So if they don't, you won't get the buyout fee, but you will for sure get the session fee. If they do use your likeness in the final edit, you'll get the session fee and the buyout fee. So if I shoot something in January, I will expect to get the session fee within 3 months. Cool, awesome. But maybe they, you know, have delays. That happens, you know, there are different approvals, different delays that happen in an agency capacity. And you won't know. You surely won't know. You won't know when they plan to launch it. You won't get any communication from the director, from the casting agent, from the producer, nothing. Once you see the commercial in the wild, whether that's on TV, whether that's on a YouTube ad, that's when you know it's been released. And from the point that you see it, they have 3 months after you see the commercial and it's gone live to pay you. Okay, so I want to give you an example. I shot a commercial 2 years ago. I got the session fee, I got the wardrobe fitting fee. I didn't get paid after that. So I just assumed they scrapped the commercial. It was a company I'd never heard of, some company in the States. And that's another thing. If you're doing American commercials, but you live here in Canada, it's harder to find those commercials. There's something called iSpot TV where you can find Canadian spots, so you can add it to your portfolio and you'll know if it's live. So if you look it up and you see the commercials are live, you'll know, hey, I'm about to get paid if you see yourself in the commercial. But for American commercials, unfortunately, it's different because unless you have American cable TV, you won't see yourself. And sometimes it's not always on TV. Sometimes it's just on social or digital. So you might not see the ad. You might not even know it's out. And for me, I shot a commercial for Mucinex, and I didn't know it was out until someone told me that they were watching football and saw me in the commercial break. And so I knew that I was going to get paid eventually, but I couldn't add it to my portfolio until I found that out. So it's kind of crazy how you might not even know that your commercial is out. And so with this commercial that I shot 2 years ago for an American company, did not know that I was gonna get paid because it had been 2 years. I just assumed they scrapped the commercial. Comes to find out, January of this year, I get notification that a check is coming for me, like an actual physical check, which is rare because usually companies will pay you digitally, but sometimes they will pay you via check. And usually what happens is they send it to the agent. You have to send the agent their cut, and then the agent can release the check and send it to you, which is crazy. And with this check, actually, Canada Post was on strike, so I didn't get it for months. They had to stop the check, ask the company to reissue another one, which took them forever because of course their finance person was on vacation. And then they finally got the check, and then they were finally able to send it to me. It was crazy. But this check, I was like, what is this for? I didn't even know what it was for. It was for a commercial that I shot 2 years ago. And the only reason I got this money this year, and the reason that they issued the check in January, was because they had released it 3 months before in 2024. So that is just an example of how, even though it had been 2 years, there was no protections for me. They had no obligation to tell me that they were going to take that long to release the commercial because I'm a non-union actor. And I spoke to my agent about this, and she said, yeah, it sucks because there's really no way for agents to say, hey, you have an obligation to tell the actor when you're planning to release it. And for a lot of commercials, they will put a hold on you because obviously there's competing products on air. So for example, if it's for a paint company, they'll put a hold on you so you can't do commercials for other paint companies. And they can put the hold on you for as long as the commercial is live and however long the term is. But if they don't release a commercial for 2 years and they don't tell you, you just assume that the hold has been released. But then if they release the commercial, then you're like, oh crap, I've done commercials for competing products. Now I'm screwed because now I have these two competing products on air. So now casting agents are asking clients, hey, you need to offer like a hold fee. So that's a new thing now. Now people are offering hold fees so that if there's any like auditions that an actor gets in the future, they will at least get compensated for not being able to do those auditions because they're being held for the commercial that they shot. And so with this American company, I didn't get a hold fee, and I didn't know that they were releasing this commercial because again, it's been 2 years. So if I had done a commercial for a competing product, I would have been in trouble, right? So now they're starting to do hold fees because they're realizing that it's a conflict of interest, not just for the actor, but for casting agencies. Because if they book someone for a commercial and then they book them for another commercial that's competing products, then they're in trouble. So now that's a thing that's happening. So you might get a hold fee on upcoming commercials. So look out for that in the audition breakdown. But just some insight from a fellow non-union actor. If you have any questions about being an actor, a non-union actor, starting out, courses to take, how to practice, auditioning, all that stuff, comment below. It's hard to be an actor when you also have to make a living, and in Toronto it's very expensive. I still have learned a lot in the past 2 years, so comment below and I'll answer whatever I can. But that is some auditioning 101 for my fellow non-union actors.